Welcome at Flick Favorites. I'm going to explain an American action, war, thriller, drama film called Tears of the Sun. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. Like and subscribe. Your support would be appreciated. Trouble in Nigeria is shown in the opening scene of the film. Reporters discuss the unrest that followed the quick and bloody coup d'état that exiled General Mustafa Yakubu organized against the legitimately elected President Samuel Azuka. Foreign nationals from all around Nigeria are still being evacuated by U.S. Marines from the USS Harry S. Truman. As it is announced that the entire presidential family has just been killed, Lieutenant Waters and his entire team are seen getting off of a chopper. The crew is welcomed by Captain Rhodes, who then briefs them on their new task, retrieving a crucial personality. If they agree, their secondary goal is to remove a priest, 2 nuns, and other people from St. Michael's mission. Lieutenant Waters approaches a local to direct the squad to Lena once the crew has arrived at their location. The woman is crying and terrified as she directs the crew to a temporary medical facility that is occupied by patients. Lena is performing a surgery when the squad interrupts, and Lieutenant Waters presents himself to her. She is accompanied by nuns who serve as her medical assistants. Lieutenant Waters gives them the go-ahead to gather their belongings so they can depart right now. When Lena eventually raises her voice, she tells him to remove his team's guns from her operating room. According to Lieutenant Waters' response, her employees should be terrified because the rebel troops are closing in and they are unsure of what is in store for them. Lieutenant Waters orders one of his soldiers to help Lena as well in order to expedite the situation. Lena and Lieutenant Waters leave. He tells her about the journey they must take to reach the helicopter rendezvous place. He also brings up the insurgents they saw near Ulingo. He predicts that they will arrive at the hospital by dusk, if not earlier. Lena informs him that she is in charge of 70 individuals, more than half of whom have significant injuries, but he responds that his orders were to remove only foreign nationals. She halts and tells him that she won't be leaving without her native staff. When she requests a minute to gather her thoughts, Lieutenant Waters advises she also use that time to search for the priest. He consents to giving the group 30 minutes to prepare before leaving with them. Lieutenant Waters agrees with Lena's assumption that they will get additional helicopters to accommodate everyone. Sister Siobhan abruptly decides not to accompany them as they leave. Father Giovanni and Sister Grace both refuse to leave the mission compound. According to Lieutenant Waters, God had already departed from Africa when they left. Lena asks them to pause at the rainforest, but Lieutenant Waters declines because they are running late. Lieutenant Waters replies when Z asks what he wants to do, telling him to let everyone rest for 30 minutes while they set up a perimeter. Lake tells Lieutenant Waters while Lena tends to a newborn. Lena is urged to keep the baby quiet because there is danger by him as he runs to her side. The infant drifts off to sleep as the rebels pass without incident. Slow alerts them to the fact that a straggler is returning to double-check as they continue their advance. When the rebel bumps into Lena, Lieutenant Waters covers his lips and stabs him just as he is about to fire. Lena rushes up to Lieutenant Waters to urge him to return to the mission facility and assist others who have been left behind after recognizing the danger they are in. He declines since doing so would jeopardize the security of the people currently present. Lena approaches Lieutenant Waters as they are taking a nap to express her gratitude for saving her life. He says that the goal was to complete the assignment, not to save her. Father Giovanni claims there are no soldiers present when the rebels enter the mission compound. He begs them to be sympathetic, but the commander orders their execution. Father Giovanni has been beheaded. Lieutenant Waters rushes Lena onto one of the helicopters as they arrive at the rendezvous site. He gives his crew the order to bring back all of the passengers. Lena confronts him about how he never intended to take all of them when they call for her. He explains to them that he was given instructions to get her out of the country. They go away. The pilot instructs Lieutenant Waters to inspect the starboard side as they return to the USS Harry S. Truman. They pass by the burning and completely damaged mission compound. Lena goes to look and yells when she sees it, too. He requests that Doc restrain her once more. Lieutenant Waters commands the pilot to make a U-turn out of guilt. They get off the ship when they come across the surviving Christian Igbos, with patients rushing to Lena and giving her a relieved hug. They can only take 12, and Lieutenant Waters advises taking anyone who will slow them down. The group will reunite in Cameroon. Lena gave him a second hug and another thank you. He urges them to move quickly and tells Red to help Lena. Lieutenant Waters denies that what they are doing is a new mission when Z queries it. He is given the same mission and is then told to prepare everyone. The squad is contacted once more by Captain Rhodes, who queries why refugees rather than the doctor and missionaries were transported in the helicopter. He tries to clarify that the doctor was already on the aircraft and that she wouldn't leave her people. He asks for 3 more helicopters, but Captain Rhodes denies him because many of the helicopters had been severely damaged by Nigerian forces. He tells them that they are on their own for the time being. The smoke bombs they discovered were from U.S. forces, the commander informs Colonel Sadek. He believes that while the majority are in the mountains, some have already escaped in a helicopter. Knowing that the group is traveling to Cameroon, Colonel Sadek beams. Doc alerts Slow while she is sleeping to the fact that Flea is sharing his ration with some of the refugees. In order to share it with the others as well, he requests that he turn over his own ration. Lieutenant Waters is informed by Slow that the rebels are advancing. Lena is approached by him, and he inquires with her about the motives for the rebels' pursuit of them. Lieutenant Waters doesn't believe her despite her denial. Red questions the reason for returning for the refugees when it is obvious that an evacuation is not possible. When he determines the answer, Lieutenant Waters promises to let him know. Lieutenant Waters receives a report from Lake about an attack on a nearby village as they travel to Cameroon. When someone advises that they circle the settlement, Lieutenant Waters pulls his rifle. Z reminds him of their ground rules for conduct. As he directs the others to take their positions, he tells Flea to concentrate on the man with the lighter who is about to set a refugee on fire. The remainder of the group discovers a body heap, indicating that the rebels have been tormenting the village all day. They come across rebel crimes including sexual assault, torture, and massacres. The refugees they are helping wait for them beside the forest as they depart. Knowing what their fellow Nigerians are going through, they are all in tears and shaking. A young teenage guy is too damaged for Doc to save. When the team sees for themselves the atrocities the Fulani Muslims are committing against the Christian Igbos, they become visibly upset. Lena visits Lieutenant Waters that evening to examine his damaged arm. Z is given a cola nut by patients to help him remain awake. When he inquires about her residence in the mission property, she replies that she had been there since she was 10 years old, moving there after learning that they were assisting youngsters who had been conscripted into the war. He nods as she asks him to assist her in finding her daughter. Lena is asked by Lieutenant Waters how she ended up in Africa. She explains that she traveled with her deceased spouse, a physician. In Sierra Leone, there was a lack of medical professionals. She explains that the rebels tried to protect her when they came to the hospital where they work and asked how her husband died. The rebels are moving forward, Slow informs Lieutenant Waters the following day. Before they get in touch, he allows them an hour to 2. Slow surmises that someone is broadcasting something in response to his question about how the rebels are locating them. He goes to Lena to inquire about any new missionaries before giving the order for his team to take the weapons from the refugees. 3 males are pointed out by her, but only Gideon leaves. Silk kills him with a shot. Gideon acknowledges that he has been tracking Arthur and is one of Colonel Sadek's many informants. Returning to the group, Lieutenant Waters demonstrates the transmitter they had taken from Gideon. A man approaches and begs him not to murder anyone. As the lone child of the late President Samuel Azuka, he introduces himself as Arthur Azuka. He apologizes for misinforming his team about why they are being chased and how the other refugees were keeping him hidden from them. It turned out that Colonel A.K, Arthur's bodyguard, was the person Lieutenant Waters had threatened. Because Arthur's father was the tribal ruler and he is the Igbo nation's heir, the Fulani Muslims are pursuing him. They think they need to break the bloodline. Lena explains that she didn't tell him because she didn't trust him at the time in response to Lieutenant Waters' accusation. Captain Rhodes got in touch with them once more to let them know that Arthur and his crew are a big liability. He claims that Arthur is the chief of the Christian Igbo tribe and asks for an evacuation, which Captain Rhodes once more denies. Lieutenant Waters is to fault for endangering the lives of his team, according to him, because the airspace is too hot. They will receive air support as soon as possible, Captain Rhodes assures them. Lieutenant Waters helps Lena rise up so they can get moving again after briefing his crew. He tells her it's not her fault and concedes that he would have done the same thing when she apologizes for hiding Arthur. They will transport everyone to Cameroon, he assures her. As they wait, Lake decides to engage the rebels and is struck by a sniper. The rebels attack them in a battle after tending to Lake's wounds and hurling numerous rocket-propelled grenades their way. As the crew advances, the unarmed migrants hide in the dense grass. After bombing some of the rebels effectively, they retreat to the refugees. Lena was trying to be awakened when Lieutenant Waters noticed Slow had been hit. Lieutenant Waters is pressured by him to make sure everyone is safe and that their efforts weren't in vain. He passes away. Colonel A.K.'s and Patience's husband Musa also pass away. Once more, the rebels launch an assault. Z requests air support by contacting the operations center. The rest of the team is instructed to follow as a rearguard to slow the rebels down while the refugees are instructed to flee till they are concealed amid the trees. Lake loses his life while attempting to help a refugee. A sniper shoots a flea. Silk is struck as well when crossing a brook. When Lieutenant Waters hears Z fall to the ground close to the Cameroonian border, he returns and tells Lena and Arthur to flee. He crawls through the grass to Z's location while being heavily fired upon. While they work to keep Z awake, Doc hastily comes to his side. Lena and Arthur plead with the Cameroonian military to let the people in by opening the border. Despite being near to the target, Lieutenant Waters directed the plane's attack. The jets approach and begin to attack as the remaining group gathers for cover. While Red and Doc assist Z, Arthur and Lena hurry to Lieutenant Waters to assist him in getting up. In Cameroon, the helicopters touch down. In addition to thanking him for saving them, Patience apologizes for the soldiers he lost. The troops from Cameroon are approached by Captain Rhodes, who commands them to open the gate. Lieutenant Waters, who he meets, introduces Lena and Arthur. With a maca, Patience shares an emotional reunion. The Igbos acknowledge Arthur and rejoice. Lena bids her pals farewell and climbs onto the waiting aircraft. Lieutenant Waters is consoled by her as they take off. As the film comes to a close, Arthur declares his freedom while his tribe applauds. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.